let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Just a minute.
Yes, Richard.
Well, what happened there? What about our pre-show bants?
Well, I think people are getting bored of that, so, you know...
You mean you're getting bored?
No, I love it, but, 2019, new start, new year, new us, new podcast.
New podcast. Is that right?
Well,
really?
It's pod 30.
You're mixing it up a bit, are you?
Not really, no.
No.
just saves me a bit of editing, to be honest. Should we do the intros? Who are you?
Oh, blimey, you're rushing on, aren't you? You've got somewhere to be.
No, I've got hot chocolate to make, so...
Well, I'm Richard James, and you are?
Jamie Anderson.
And I'd just like to say, first of all, a very Happy New Year to you, Jamie.
Happy New Year to you too, Richard, and to all of our lovely listeners out there.
Of course, exactly. I wonder how you all spent New Year's Eve. Jamie, any New Year's resolutions? Are you that sort of person?
I'm not really. I sort of slightly rail against the enforced resolution making in New Year's, but I do kind of...
Oh, this is fun, isn't it?
No, but I do feel that natural kind of reset, which you can't get away from, and I quite enjoy that. So
me too.
That's
so even as we speak, this morning I've spent the time taking all our Christmas decorations down. It's New Year's Day, by the way, listeners. I know you're all listening to this a few days ahead, but we're recording this on New Year's Day. So just this morning, all the decorations came down.
Very good.
I love it. New start, clean the house, New Year,
yeah.
off we go.
Well, I'm having a massive clear of my office currently.
Yeah.
And discovering all
great.
sorts of interesting and strange things, including this, Richard. Can you identify this?
I wouldn't like to hazard a guess as to what that might be.
Well, it's about 2 inches long.
Yes. It's yellow. It's got a blue tip.
It's a black tip, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, black rubber tip. It's a missile from a dinky UFO interceptor.
Ah, of course it is.
Because they often
I don't
go
remember them
missing.
being that big.
Oh, I'm holding it close to the camera, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course you are. It's that perspective
It's
thing that
actually
always
only that
gets
big.
me. Oh, now you put it next to your face.
It's the same length as my
Haven't
nose.
you got a big face?
Thank you. Richard, go away. Anyway, yeah, so full of New Year's resolutions. What are your New Year's resolutions, listeners?
No. Well, oh yes, I thought you were talking to me personally. Yes, that's right.
Go on,
Well,
Richard,
absolutely,
what's
wouldn't
yours?
No, I don't really do. I mean, for a while I had things like sit up straight and eat properly and things like that. Things that I knew I could achieve.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe record a podcast every Monday, perhaps, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
That'd be a good
We
one to
agree on
go
that.
with, wouldn't it?
But I would love to know from our listeners, do you have a Gerry Anderson related New Year's resolution?
Wow. What would that be? What, to watch an episode a day, or to watch that box set at last? Or
Probably get round to rewatching something, or watching something, or collecting something, or completing a collection.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it's even having a clear out and only keeping the top-notch bits in your collection.
Yes. Or suddenly realising that you've had 2 copies of the UFO box set that you didn't even notice. I often do that. I found a Doctor Who Seeds of Death. I've got 2 of them. Who knew?
Oh, there you go. Well, I've got Robots of Death in Dutch.
Right. Why?
I bought it by mistake.
Great.
Anyway, this is not the fascinating insight people were hoping for.
Yes, wildly off topic. Whatever the topic is, I've no idea. But
anyway, Richard, look, what's coming up in this episode of the Gerry Anderson podcast?
Yes, well, we're kind of, we took, we had a few, rung the changes a little bit over the festive period, of course, because we didn't have the full sort of mailbag and so on last time, and no news for our New Year's Eve special and all that. So, this time we're back to form, really. So we have got your lovely emails. You can get in touch with us, of course, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. We've got a few of those to read out later. You can also tweet us. I've got a few tweets to read out. Hashtag Gerry Anderson Podcast. You can get in touch with me, Richard N. James, or him. I'm Jamie Anderson.
That's it.
And what I would like to do, Jamie, because we asked over Christmas for people on Boxing Day specifically to mark the anniversary of Gerry's death, to tweet a few hashtag Cheers Gerry Anderson stories. And a lot of people did. So throughout the podcast, I'd like to just pick a few of those to read.
Please
out.
do.
They were very heartwarming.
They were
And,
indeed.
some lovely messages. A little later on then, we've also got the randomizer, of course, from Chris Dale. And we've got some Gerry Anderson news. Newsy news.
We do have some news.
Fantastic, because boy, have we missed it. And, well, lastly, we don't really have an interview as such this week, do we? In fact, at all.
No, we don't have an interview, unless you can count us talking to each other as an interview.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back over 2018 and pick out some of our highlights, the things that happened last year, because we only started the podcast halfway through the year.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff which we missed, which we didn't cover. Things happen in between episodes, which sometimes we miss or forget. Normally I forget to put in the script. And there's 6 months worth of Anderson stuff that happened before the podcast started. So yeah, I just thought we could go through, chat about our favourite bits and pieces, and it'd be nice, wouldn't it? A bit of kind of
that'd be great.
Nostalgia before we leap into 2019.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that would be lovely. So, so in the meantime, do get in touch, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. And I have to say this, Jamie, please, whatever platform you're listening to us on, don't forget to subscribe so that you get a little notification every time a new episode drops, and also rate and review and share and all that sort of lovely stuff. That'd be lovely.
Absolutely. And carry on with the podcast selfies and screenshots as you wish.
Yes, for example, now you mentioned that, so I'm just going to shuffle my bit of paper because we had, I think it was Robert, yes. Robert posted a selfie of himself listening on the train to Pod 29. He said, helping me survive the train journey into London to take part in the LNYD parade. Now, I wonder what that might be. Something New Year's Day, I would think.
Yes, London New Year's Day. Loch Ness Yogurt Day.
It could be that, yes. I mean, I'm assuming.
It'd be weird.
Why is he going to London? But
yeah, I don't know.
Thunder Fury Bird also got in touch on Twitter to say, I've been listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast today while I was having a drink of cider. Or before. Anyway, I forget. Happy New Year to you all. Well, she had a great night, I think.
Several ciders consumed there. Good.
Yeah, very nice. Also, a nice long story here from Josh Long, if you'll just indulge me for a little while. Josh said, here's a little story from him. I'm on my morning bike ride listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast with Richard and Jamie when I see someone up ahead stranded. So in typical international rescue fashion, carrying my tools on the back of my bike, I become Josh Tracy on Thunderbike 1. I stopped and spoke to the man. He was late for work after coming off his bike due to a loose back wheel and jammed brakes. Using my tools, brackets rescue gear, I tightened the back wheel and reinstalled the brakes. He was very grateful and on his way. Another international rescue operation successful.
Excellent.
Well done, Josh. That's great.
It is nice when the kind of the positive message of the Gerry Anderson universe bleeds into our own.
Yes, absolutely. Full of positive messages. That's right. And people enacting them in their everyday lives.
Yeah. So if you have done your own international rescue moment, please do email us podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. We'd love to hear from you.
Look forward to those. Great. Is it time for some news?
I don't see why not. Should we do some Gerry Anderson
news? Come on, it's the new year.
Who needs the intro when you've got that? Right. How we have missed the Gerry Anderson news segment.
Yes, haven't we?
Have you missed it, listener? I'd probably not. You probably didn't even notice it wasn't there last pod, did you? Anyway, I've got some news for you. Some of which you've heard before, some of which you may be aware of, some of which you won't be. So,
okay.
Shall we start off with a reminder about that lovely Super Mario Nation calendar, Richard?
Now this has gone down a storm, hasn't it? It looks lovely.
It hit.
Not too late to buy it then?
No. Because we put it together quite late, we knew that we'd have to extend it. So it does include the whole of January 2020. So even if you only get it in February, you still get the full 12 months of Super Mario Nation goodness. So that's good.
Now, listen, Jamie, why don't calendars do that anyway? That is such a good idea, isn't it? Because do you know what happens after New Year's Eve to all the calendars that are on sale in the shops?
They will get slashed price-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you buy this Gerry Anderson calendar now, you won't need another calendar until February 2020, when all the calendars in the shops.
Yes, when their prices are slashed.
Absolutely.
Yes, see, we almost did that on purpose. Thanks for pointing that out, Richard. Anyway, it's a beautiful design, full of cool pictures from all of your favourite puppet shows, and they're selling out pretty fast. They're in stock now, ready to go, so grab one while you still can. If you want to get one, you can go to bit.ly. You know, bit.ly, that's the shortener for URLs. So bit.ly, bit.ly /Super M 2019. And then that link will take you directly to the calendar.
Okay.
bit.ly/superm2019, he says, looking at the script.
Or I guess you could visit the Gerry Anderson website. There'll be a link on there.
Or just go to shop.gerryanderson.co.uk and it's on the front page. But, sometimes people want to go direct and they don't want to, they don't want to click about. So
like we do.
I'm saving you a couple of clicks, yes. Yeah.
Always clicking about.
Richard, since we're already on the Gerry Anderson store, I know there's a January sale currently on.
Is there? It being January and everything?
It being January and the season of sales.
Yeah.
We've got some Christmas time stock to get rid of, so if you'd like to pick up a bargain... Well, actually, at this point, I can't tell you because we're recording prior to it going live.
I see.
But there will doubtless be T-shirts, keyrings, badges, posters, etc. with hefty discounts.
Okay.
And it's a lot of them will be end-of-line things, so they won't be back again. So grab them while you still can. Oh, and tell you what is there. We've got the last 2 Thunderbirds silk pocket squares that have been in stock for a while, and because they're pure silk, they're normally ridiculously expensive, but they're down to something stupid like 15 quid a piece.
Cool.
So grab one of those,
right?
Or I will.
Yes, great.
So yes, head over. There's a link at the front of the Gerry Anderson store, shop.gerryanderson.co.uk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to blow my own trumpet now.
What, in front of everybody?
Well, don't worry, they'll only be able to hear it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well done.
No, it's just... I've had a lot of nice feedback about that interview with Sean Feast in Pod 29 about Lionel Anderson, Richard.
Yeah, I bet.
You've probably seen a few tweets on Twitter.
Well, I have indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Blah, blah, blah. I'm saying blah, blah, blah. That's just my thinking time. Because I'm looking.
He's padding
yes,
people.
Peter Durnan, for example, got in touch via Twitter. Said, just purchased the book after hearing the interview on the Gerry Anderson podcast. Sterling work once again from that. Podcast. Yeah, and lots of other similar messages. People saying, heard the interview and loved it, and I'm buying the book.
Yeah, it's
very nice.
This isn't to force you to buy the book. It doesn't, that doesn't matter to us at all. But I just would like you to hear the story of Lionel because it's so influential in the whole Gerry Anderson story, and you may not have heard the detail before. So if you haven't heard it already, go back to Pod 29 and give that a listen. So there you go. There's a nice article from someone called Chris Dale. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Never heard of him.
No, me nor neither. But nor neither. That's quite a nice phrase, actually.
Either. Well, I quite like that as a pseudonym.
Yeah, nor neither. Weirdly, my phone has started doing an autocorrect of tomorrow to Tumurti.
What?
Tumurti, which I don't know how it's happened.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
I quite like the word though. It's sort of like a Morningside version of tomorrow.
Yeah, I like that too. Charlotte, this is a story you may or may not wish to keep in the podcast, but when she got a new phone, she found that when she typed in the word or the name Richard, it auto-corrected it into dickhead.
That is totally staying in. Brilliant.
Isn't that terrible?
Gosh.
Obviously, the person who had the phone, it was a refurbished second-hand phone, so obviously the person before her had a very low opinion of Richard's.
Amazing. So, Tumurti on the Gerry Anderson podcast with Dickhead
Jamie Anderson and Dickhead James.
James.
Thank you. No. Oh, why did you mention that? That's going to be everywhere now, isn't it? Everyone's emails. It's going to be. Oh,
I'm going to get Benji Clifford to re-record the intro.
Oh.
Anyway, Chris Dale has done an article for the Gerry Anderson website of his top 6 Gerry Anderson two-parters, which will obviously include a Space Precinct in there.
I would think so. Fire Within, I should imagine.
Yeah, because we don't get enough two-parters these days, do we?
No. And we do enjoy them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, lots of people do. In fact, Andrew Sierre immediately tweeted after this article went out and said, two-parters are some of my favourites. So there we go.
Right. That might be worth bearing in mind for future projects, Jamie, mightn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Or do you want to do a two-part podcast? No, let's not do that. Let's not drag it out any more than we need to. If you've been enjoying things in HD, then hopefully you've been picking up the most recent volumes of Joe 90. I believe that volumes 1 to 3 are out now, and volume 4 is due in the next month or so. So keep an eye out for that. I don't know if there's any special things that might come along with it. I really don't know, but we can hope, can't we?
Yeah, what extras and commentaries and things?
Yeah, something.
Ooh,
probably not commentaries.
Cool.
I think commentaries have fallen out of favour a bit amongst a lot.
Have they?
Because I don't enjoy watching them, I have to say.
No, I must say, I mean, I think I've listened to the only one commentary ever, and that was something I was in because I wanted to hear me mentioned by the director, and he did, thankfully. But yes, you're right. They tend to get in the way. I want to watch the programme.
Yeah, I don't mind watching behind-the-scenes stuff, or as in the most recent Doctor Who Blu-ray set, where we watch the cast watching it, a bit more Gogglebox style.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's no Gogglebox style things coming with Joe 90. Watching the puppets watch their own show. But they look beautiful, and if you haven't got them already, you can grab them. Guess where, Richard?
Would it be the Gerry Anderson store?
Yes, absolutely. That's where you can get them, or from networkonair.com. Either's one.
Yeah.
And that is it for this episode.
That was the news. That was the news.
Couldn't even hold it in for a minute, could you?
No.
Good. No, it's lovely. Thanks for doing that. Right.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now, before we move on, then, I'm going to read out, if I may, Jamie, a couple of these hashtags we asked over the Christmas period, on Boxing Day specifically, to mark the anniversary of Gerry's death, for you to tweet your thoughts and memories about growing up with Gerry Anderson's work, using the hashtag Cheers Gerry Anderson. So here's one from Louise, who said, "Can't believe how quickly the time has gone. Going to celebrate Mr. Anderson's incredible legacy with the Super Marionation Marathon. Hashtag Cheers Gerry Anderson. I had the most fantastic worlds to play in as a child, thanks to you. And now I'm older, I still get to go back whenever I like."
Hurrah.
Isn't that lovely?
It is.
Now, Jamie, on a personal note, I must ask you, do you find it easy or difficult or odd to separate the Gerry Anderson that we all know, the name, the legend, if you will, with your father? Do they feel like two separate, different people?
I hadn't really considered this until you just said that now.
Right.
But weirdly, yes, they do feel like two separate things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying. It's difficult to kind of draw a parallel.
Yes, I put you on the spot, rather.
No, it is, and it's quite nice that way actually, because it could be rather troubling, I suspect, to kind of be immersed in the world of a deceased parent every day.
Yes.
If there wasn't that disconnect.
Yes.
So yeah, it's interesting. No, I certainly when Mum and I talk, we talk about
the other Gerry Anderson.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course you do.
Well, if she's talking about him, she refers to him as Dad.
Yeah,
which is
right.
very strange, and I guess I do too. So interesting insight there into sort of weird psychological compartmentalisation.
Absolutely right. Yeah, for a New Year's Day special. That's right.
It's a bit deep,
it is for us anyway. Yeah. Danbury67 also tweeted hashtag Cheers Gerry Anderson. Thank you for helping light my childhood up with adventure and sparking my love for sci-fi. Some of my earliest TV memories are of Captain Scarlet, Thunderbirds, and UFO. I'll read a couple more of those out later as well.
Marvellous.
Lots of them.
Yeah. So thank you all of you for tweeting those out. It was nice to see them on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Richard, we've got 3 listener emails.
Yes.
From listeners all beginning with P.
Oh, right. Is this a new thing? Are we going to have a letter of the week, are we?
Themed. No, it's just happened by chance. They're all P's and 2 of them are Pauls.
Right. Is the other one a Peter?
Yes.
How did I guess?
I don't know how you guess. Good work though. Well, the first Peter is for you. So,
okay, yes,
do you want to start?
Here it is. That's right. So this is from Peter Dernan, who I think I've already mentioned, and said he sent us an email to podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk. He says, "Gentlemen." And so he's used the singular there, which is interesting, rather than the plural.
Oh, gentleman.
Rather than gentlemen.
Yeah,
yes.
Interesting.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting. Once again, thanks so much for your excellent podcast. A particular treat on Christmas Eve and looking forward to New Year's Eve. Well, there we are. Personally, I thought the hashtag "There's new Gerry Anderson stuff being produced right now" was excellent, which was the hashtag that Peter had used in a previous tweet.
It is a hashtag.
It is. It's a thing. I'm sure I've heard talk of it, but has anything ever been done about a prequel for Thunderbirds? Appreciate a live action or even Ultra Marination would probably be too expensive, but a book or even an audio series. So many unanswered questions. How did Jeff Tracy amass his fortune? How did he meet Brains? How long did it take to create all of the craft? How did he meet and recruit Lady Penelope, and on and on? There has to be at least a book in it. Brackets, Chris Dale isn't very busy.
That's true.
You find he is, Peter.
He's got nothing to do.
Apologies if it's already been done, but it does seem an obvious project. Once again, thanks for keeping and developing the legacy. Happy New Year to you, Richard, and everyone in the Anderson family. Best regards, Peter. That's Peter Dernan.
Cheers, Peter.
Thunderbirds prequel. This comes up occasionally, doesn't it, Jamie?
I'd say more than occasionally. I'd say semi-frequently.
Yeah.
So there have been bits in the past, including, I think it's called The Complete Thunderbirds Story, which is one of the 90s comic stories that ran through something like 30 issues, which tackles a lot of this stuff. And I've also read 3 treatments that have been produced by one by Dad and 2 by colleagues of his over the years.
Gosh, right. So it has been in the air then.
Oh, very much so, yeah. But I think people have always struggled a little bit to put enough drama into the building of a rescue organisation.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it could never happen.
No.
I don't think it's on the cards. Certainly not as a book or a TV or film project. But you never know.
Yeah. No.
Watch
absolutely
this
right.
space. But it would be fun.
Yeah.
But there's lots in those comics in the Complete Thunderbird Story or the Complete History or whatever it's called. Lots there for you to look at and learn about. But there's always going to be disagreements from fans about what's canon and what isn't, and even down to the dates. So
yes, right. You can make your own mind up, I think, about canonicity, can't you? I mean,
canonicity, is that a word?
Is that a word? Is it a word?
It is now. Nice.
But you can, if you don't agree with it, ignore it. If you like it, include it. It's all fine.
Exactly.
Really doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So there you go. Go and look that up, Peter. If anybody else knows of any historical bits of merchandise or books or whatever about that, then write in and let us know. Second P, which I'm taking.
Second P of the day.
This is from Paul Davis. Or Davies. I never know with the date with an IES whether it's Davies or Davis. But
I feel your pain.
Hi, Richard and Jamie.
Hi, Paul.
It's gone for you first. Just to let you know, we had a warm 29 degrees C Christmas day here in Sydney with lots of...
Oh, no, we don't want to know that.
Well, it was...
We don't.
It was relatively mild here.
Yeah, but 29, that would be lovely. That's shorts weather,
That's a bit too hot for me.
Oh, no, it's perfect.
25 is sort of my comfortable limit. Anyway, so that had that lovely day in Sydney with lots of Anderson memorabilia being handed around. Very good. I was thrilled to receive a lovely model of the SPV, which immediately took me back to my childhood when I had the Dinky or Corgi version that was around at the time. Together with a matching print of the SPV drawn by that fabulous artist Chris Thompson.
Oh, yes. Brilliant.
So, if you haven't come across Chris yet... then have a look at his amazing artwork online. I assume that's aimed at the listeners, not you and me, because we know Chris very well.
We do indeed.
But it's true, if you haven't seen Chris's stuff, then look him up. He's CT Design and Illustration on Facebook. And he's responsible for a great deal of the lovely designs if you've ever bought any merch from us or even packaging and various other bits and pieces. And a thoroughly nice chap he is too. Another nice Chris. Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a few nice Richards around as well.
Really?
Don't let Charlotte's phone put you off.
Oh, sorry. My brain was auto-correcting. Paul continues, I am, of course, also thrilled with the Martian exploration vehicle I bought from the Gerry Anderson store a month ago.
Excellent.
That is a lovely little model. Thank you to Dan at Planet Replicas for putting those together. Thanks to both of you for brightening up my 2018 with your fun and enjoyable podcasts and live streams.
Oh, that's nice.
Looking forward to listening and watching again in 2019 and wishing you and your families all the best for the new year. As Boris would say, stay cheeky, Breeky. From Paul.
What's the reference there?
I don't know.
Who's Boris?
I was hoping you would.
No. I saw that look in your eye.
Yeah, hang on.
Paul, enlighten us. Stay cheeky, Breeky.
Yeah.
Are you Googling it now, Jamie?
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, Boris. Well, I mean, thanks, but...
Cheeky Breeky is a catchphrase associated with a quote originating from the first-person shooter survival horror game series Stalker.
Oh.
Since the release of the game in 2007, the stockline, often said by non-playable characters of the bandit factions, has become a subject of online parodies among fans of the game.
Oh, there you are. Okay, you've given yourself away there, Paul.
On January the 11th, 2016, YouTuber Life of Boris released the first of a series of videos of people dancing to the Cheeky Breeky song. I mean, I'm going down a YouTube rabbit hole.
Yeah,
here.
this passed me by completely.
So no, but thank you for introducing me to something which I had no idea about before. Paul. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, there we go. Was there a question in there? No, there wasn't. Was there? Just praising Chris Thompson and other stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Richard, I'll hand
before
to
I move
you.
on to this,
go on.
this email here from another Paul. Just going back to Alex K, who supplied the only email for our New Year's Eve edition. He said, "Lads, thank you so much on Twitter." He said this for reading my email out. Honestly, that was the best belated Christmas gift ever. Listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast has been one of my highlights of 2018, and I can't wait for more episodes. Keith Gooch also got in touch on Twitter to say, as there's nothing decent on television as usual over the festive season, I'm hiding under a duvet listening to the Space Precinct original soundtrack right now.
Good choice.
Perfect. Yeah, not bad. Great. Anyway, there's also a question from Jeff Owen, which we'll come to in a moment.
Okay.
But firstly, here's this email from Paul. He says, "Hi, Jamie and Richard."
Hi,
just correcting
Paul.
the balance there.
Yeah, it's all even now.
Yeah. Thank you for the continued excellence of the podcast. Right. Also, a big thank you to Tim. Now, I don't know how to say Tim's surname, isn't that so? Is it Langus Griffin?
Langus Griffin.
Is that it? Yeah. Big thank you to Tim, Langus Griffin, who's been very helpful with mine and I suspect my wife's orders at the Gerry Anderson store.
Yes. Tim is brilliant, by the way. We'll just interject here and say if you've ever ordered anything, if you've got a problem with your order or just a question or whatever, it's normally Tim that will have got back in touch with you.
Yeah.
And he is endlessly helpful and works all hours and is absolutely brilliant. So, yes.
That's great.
Big praise to Tim there.
Nice. Paul goes on, I'm not sure if this toy ever existed, but somewhere in my memory, I seem to remember a Captain Scarlet Mysteron's torch. Can't remember having one, but I think a friend did. Am I making this up, or was it made? And if not, why not? He said, great to hear Dick Spanner on the randomizer from a closet Spanner fan, hoping to get the DVD for Christmas. Well, I hope that went well, Paul. Great news about Firestorm and wishing every success with the production. Very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Yeah, and to you, Paul.
Lovely, Paul.
Yeah, so Mysteron's torch.
Richard, you know that exists because you wind your memory back to Fab Live 8, 9 with Lee Sullivan.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? And I brought with me the Mysteron torch, which also was a voice changer, and you spoke through it, and it had sort of the loose spring thing going on that created the reverb. And out the front shone two rather rubbish rings.
I see. No, I don't remember that. I have a terrible memory of things like that, so forgive me. But if you said it happened, then it.
Well, you can go back and check it at jerryanderson.co.uk/fablive.
Now, also, while we're on that subject, Jamie, I think it might be worth mentioning a little bit of news about Fab Live, because our next Fab Live broadcast is February the 4th, Monday evening, 7 o'clock. But it's all changed, isn't it? A little bit?
Well, I mean, you say it's all changed. It's a bit changed. Yes, we are no longer doing Fab Live on Facebook. For a variety of reasons, but mostly down to the fact that people just aren't getting to see it on Facebook because there's so much content and the kind of business page content is being throttled back by Facebook. We are moving it to YouTube and Twitch. It'll be simulcast to the two, and you'll be able to interact with us on both platforms. Well, one or other. Don't repeat messages across platforms. That'll get very confusing. So we'll still have all the kind of same interaction and that kind of stuff going on, but just on different platforms. So very shortly there will be an event page on YouTube. YouTube.com/JerryAndersonTV, and you'll be able to just click a little button that says "Remind Me," and you'll get a little reminder just before we go live.
Great.
And also, YouTube Live has a very nice countdown feature, which I really like. It does a really beautiful kind of what was that? The test card with the girl in the cloud. It's slightly test card themed. It's quite retro and cool. Anyway, so yes, you'll be able to still watch us. It's still Fab Live, but it's just on YouTube and Twitch instead.
Yeah, great. Jeff Owen got in touch on Twitter and said, this is a question for me actually. He said, were you ever in the frame for playing Officer Orin's voice? Was it a disappointment when you didn't? He said. Now there's a story here. I'll just go through this briefly. It came as a bit of a surprise about 6 weeks in, when we were told that I think the majority of the Alien cast were to be revoiced. I know Jerome Willis kept his own voice, who played Podley, but I think pretty much the rest of us were to be... David Quilter kept his, that's right. And Tom Watt was playing Beazle at the time. Yeah. And when he heard that he was to be revoiced, he quit. He said, well, I haven't signed my contract yet, so I'll tell you what, I'm off. And I think the arrangement was that he wasn't then credited in the last in the scrolling credits at the end of the series, so you won't see his name there. To be replaced by Lou Hirsch as Romek, of course, who also did his own voice. Was I disappointed? I remember at the time being surprised. I mean, every contract you get for a TV production has a clause in it saying they reserve the right to revoice you. But when it actually happened, I suppose I was disappointed. But very quickly I got over it because I realised how damn lucky I was to have a year's work on such a high-profile, prestigious programme at Pinewood Studios for a year. I think I very quickly learned to swallow my pride and just get on with it and enjoy it and pick up the check, really, and have a great time still. No, I did. So, yeah, initially it was a bit of a disappointment. And it was all very strange, the politics of it. I think, well, Charlotte has another sort of angle on the story. She has a bit of inside information, and she blames Idris Elba. Because when they were showing the finished version of Double Duty, the first episode that we shot to the money men, essentially, the Americans, they panicked. There was a black man with an English accent. And they couldn't stomach it. So they just kind of issued this edict across the board. And from then on, lots of very good guest actors were revoiced as well. Terribly. Not to, to great effect, really. I think it does the series a disservice sometimes. But there we are. That's the way it is, and that's the way it was. And I'm still very proud of the series and my part in it. But yes, Jeff, at the time, I think I was a little bit disappointed. Soon got over it.
Do you know what I'm just looking up very quickly? I may not have this.
Go on, what's it saying?
Well, look, I've got a memorandum.
Yeah.
Care of Christian Tarpey.
Oh, yes.
Dated the 13th of July, 1994.
Wow.
Addressed to Gerry Anderson from Roger Lefcon, who I know that Dad fell out with because Dad would later name Captain Black in New Scarlet as Conrad Lefcon. And he would often name characters after people he disliked.
Nice.
So there we go. It's got various interesting bits and pieces in here, including number one, with respect to the opening title sequence, let's delete all reference to Space Police Affirmative. Also, as discussed, let's plan to replace various sections of the standard opening. As new programmes continue to be produced and delivered, we should have a reasonably good selection of shots to choose from. When we hit show 6, we may decide to lock in a title sequence or, depending on cost, continue to update it. So they were going to...
Yeah,
there was going to be very much updated stuff.
Yeah,
lip sync issues, blah 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 blah. Because the programs will not play sequentially, let's not billboard future episodes, says Roger.
Oh, okay.
Which we've mentioned before. The 15 seconds of additional time can be accommodated by increasing the time for the closing credits or expanding the logo time from 2 to 3 seconds.
Right.
In addition, we can pick up 3 seconds by the inclusion of the Grove distribution logo at the very end of the show.
Yes.
Number 5, let's have another go at dubbing the voice of the pizza delivery man. The present treatment of the pizza delivery man as voiced could be deemed racist.
Well.
So there you go.
How interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
So is that referring to a voice we never heard, or is that his impression of the voice as we know it?
I remember watching this sequence several times over as Dad brought back various edits and fine cuts and stuff, and it changed repeatedly. And what they ended up with, I thought, was the worst of all the opportunities.
Absolutely.
Also, Richard, there's an interesting one for you here. Number 9.
Oh no. Yeah.
The revoiced Beazle and Orin sound over the top New York and should be done again.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. I mean, it's just a hint that this is one of many issues that dogged the show.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and really needn't have been an issue at all, I don't think, actually.
I think
Very
they could
strange.
quite happily have had you guys voicing. It was just this ridiculous sensitivity to, we've got to please the Americans.
That's right. But actually, one of the nice things on the Space Precinct DVD box set that's just been released recently is there's in the extras section, there's a little scene, a deleted scene from a story called Smelter Skelter, I think. Which features my original voice. So that's an interesting thing to watch.
Which I thought was perfectly good.
Oh, Jamie, but you would say that.
No, but it was.
Well, it was.
One can't understand why they replaced you. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Very, very strange.
There we go.
Knee-jerk reaction, I think. Very odd. But yeah, so there you are, Jeff. Well, that sparked a whole debate there. So thank you very much for that.
But you weren't expecting that.
No, and I hope that answered your question quite comprehensively, I think.
So if you've got a burning question, or anything like that that you think we can help with, then email us podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk or tweet us, like Richard has said, Richard N. James, or I'm Jamie Anderson. And we will do our best to answer them. Now,
I'm just flicking through my bits of paper here, Jamie. I just want to take the opportunity to read out a couple of more.
Are
of these,
you hiking up a
cheers.
tweet?
Yeah, I am, exactly. So this one is from Jim. This is #Cheers Gerry Anderson from Boxing Day. Terrorhawks was my first love, then Space Precinct, Stingray and Fireball XL5. Each one watched with a specific family member, one who sadly is not here now. Gerry Anderson was a genius ahead of his time. Lucas said, thanks Gerry Anderson for the joy and fun you've brought to countless people, adults and children alike. Leslie, an amazing imagination, she says, a wonderful talent whose work is still loved today. What a legacy. Thank you, Gerry, for allowing us into your creative world. FAB, Thunderbirds are go. I say Leslie, she. Could be a he, of course.
Yes.
It's difficult with a name like that, isn't it?
It
But
is.
thank you for your tweets nonetheless.
Yes,
lovely,
thanks,
lovely
everyone.
to hear from you.
Now, Richard, no interview section this week.
No.
But I think we can replace it with, well, probably not something interesting, but
Right.
some people
Okay.
might enjoy bits of it. Just looking back at our highlights from 2018. And I thought we could start with our favourite interviews or interviewees.
Oh, crikey.
So, I mean,
Favourite interviews.
do you want me to run through all the people we've spoken to this in the last 6 months?
Well, no, I mean, I can tell you what my favourite interviewee was.
Yeah?
It was Chris Packham, without a doubt.
Oh, really?
Well, I loved his obviously his kind of obsessive attention to the details of the series that he grew up with, and the way he had thought so deeply about the characters.
I really had.
And the way they had affected him and his attitudes to life and so on. Really very interesting. And also from someone who, I don't know, ordinarily you wouldn't suspect of being a Gerry Anderson fan, but as you said, you know, in his spare room or his garage or wherever it was, boxes upon boxes of stuff.
Amazing
Yeah.
stuff. I think lots of original stuff in the 60s and 70s. And he was very, very, a very nice host as well. Well, my favourite, although I've already bigged up the Lionel Anderson one on the most recent episode, actually it's Pod 17, which was Phil Plait.
Right, yes.
A rather unexpected one, but looking at kind of almost the science of Space 1999 and what Phil, as a scientist, loved in terms of the science fiction about UFO and Space 1999. It was a really fun chat, really enjoyed it, and it was one of those ones where it flew by the time.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up with something quite unexpected. So
Yeah, lovely. But
rather
also
nice.
you had the interview with Mike Noble that you did with Lee Sullivan as well, which was rather lovely. A very self-effacing man, very sweet,
absolutely.
who had a lot to contribute to the Gerry Anderson universe in terms of visuals and style and so on.
Yeah, huge amounts.
And, that was a lovely
It's
one.
nice to have some archive audio in there, but also we had some really fun chats. Obviously, Sophia Miles up front, Lee Sullivan, David Quantick, Wayne Forrester.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Well done.
many people from in and around the world of Gerry Anderson. So thank you to all of our contributors. And if you have an idea for a contributor for 2019, then do let us know.
Someone tweeted Jonathan Frakes only a couple of days ago to see if he would be interested. That would be interesting.
That would be
wouldn't it?
fascinating. I have a feeling he wouldn't do it, but you never say never.
No,
but
indeed.
already coming up this year, we've got Phil Ford, who wrote on the new Captain Scarlet and went on to write on Sarah Jane Adventures and Doctor Who and beyond. We've got Sanjeev Bhaskar, John Culshaw, and many others. So
Great.
lots to look forward to.
Yeah.
Looking back across the year, though, we've been very lucky to see loads more episodes being released in HD, in high definition.
Yeah.
So you can make use of your Blu-ray player, Richard.
Yes, thank you very much.
The Captain Scarlet complete series is now out there, and if you were lucky enough to get one of those lovely box sets, then I hope you enjoyed it. As we said before, Joe 90 is mostly out, with part 4 still to come, but that looks stunning as well. And of course, Space Precinct, Richard.
Finally.
Yeah.
On DVD.
How do you feel on reflection about seeing it back out there and actually having the physical box set in your hand? Is it weird?
Is it weird? It is strange. What has been odd is the sort of resurgence of it makes it sound like a tsunami of interest, but just the resurgence of people who are interested in it all.
The ripple.
Mild ripple. That's right. we had the Space Precinct Reloaded, the comic, back in February, I think, wasn't it? It was launched.
Yeah, sometime then.
We've had the DVD box set. We've had the soundtrack released. It's what I find only 5 years ago, really, or 6 years ago, you barely heard it mentioned. And it really wasn't considered, to be a sort of a glowing entry in the in the Anderson catalogue, as it were. But now I think it's kind of held with a little bit of affection. I think it's sort of earned its rightful place on people's shelves now.
Absolutely.
Alongside your UFOs and your Thunderbirds and your Space 1999s. So I suppose I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah, there's a great deal of fondness out there for it.
Yeah.
That's just been kind of reignited, reinvigorated by having the DVD box set out
Absolutely.
there. So, and that was the devil's own job to get that put together and to get over all the rights hurdles and stuff. You would not believe the difficulties. It's just so great that it's out there. So now there's only one more thing really to get out there as part of the Gerry Anderson universe, and that's Lavender Castle.
Oh, yes, right.
But that is on the horizon, so we think we can get there.
Oh, that would be great.
Splendid Space Precinct. And if you want to learn more about Space Precinct, Richard, obviously there's a book, I believe, isn't there?
Is there? You are good, Jamie. There is a book. I did write a book. I wrote a book, Space Precinct Unmasked. You can find it at the Gerry Anderson store or on Amazon and various other outlets.
And it's very good, isn't it?
It is, Jamie. Thank you.
Fantastic. We've also had some lovely other items of merch. I think probably top bits and pieces include the hovercraft and MEV, as mentioned before. There's more of those little models to come. There's Big Chief figures, which have been very popular despite the delays with those, which has been very frustrating for all of us, but I'm sure they'll get there.
Yeah, not your fault, Jamie, I have to say. Not your fault.
No, we do our best to keep people informed. There we go, but they do look great. Worth the wait, I think. Spectrum pistols, which are, I think, on a boat right now, coming into Southampton soon. Yeah, that's them. There they are.
There they are.
But there's a couple of the special colours left, but they're mostly sold out. But go and grab one if you still can. So lots of merch and lots more merch on the way.
Indeed,
in 2019.
yes. Like a bit of that. But the big news, Jamie, the big news from the last year was the Firestorm.
I think you could say was me taking the lead in David Walliams' Awful Auntie. We'll get to that in a minute.
It's barely news at all.
But it's
Firestorm was
news.
an amazing thing to have.
So finally we were able to release Firestorm, Gerry Anderson's Firestorm, a new puppet series, the pilot which was released to Kickstarter backers earlier in the year, and then we were able to have a lovely premiere event at MCM Comic Con London back in October, and that was incredibly well received. And off the back of that activity all going on, we were able to put together the necessary deals for us to go into production later this year. It's going to production this year. Yeah. It's going to be certainly a fair few months away yet because there's a lot to get ready. But that's very exciting. That there's literally #new Gerry Anderson stuff being produced right now.
Absolutely right.
What a silly hashtag.
Absolutely. And boy, the internet lit up that weekend, didn't it? People tweeting and talking about the premiere, talking about Firestorm.
We got a great
People
response.
Amazed by the puppets, the visuals, the music, everything. It's fantastic.
It has been very, very nice indeed. Oh, and we're looking at I should put this in the news section really, releasing the theme for download, which should be kind of probably February time, because that's by multiple requests. Hundreds of requests for that.
Indeed.
It's been lovely. Beyond that, though, there have been other fun events. The Nottingham Puppet Festival we went to and did a talk there, and there was a screening of Thunderbirds Are Go, I think, the film.
Lovely.
And also ShadowCon 2 up at the Derby Quad.
Yes.
It's Derby, isn't it?
It is,
I always think Leicester for some reason, but no, it's Derby.
No, Derby
which went down very well there, so that was lovely. And of course, Richard, we had that delicious lunch at the King's Arms.
Well, didn't we? Yes.
What was that for?
We went to the King's Arms in Cookham, Well, that was to celebrate the unveiling of a plaque in honour of the famous story of, I'm not going to tell it again, of Gerry being inspired by the wine waiter to provide the voice for Parker. So we were joined by David Graham and Craig, who organised it all. And Chris, the landlord, put on a lovely spread for us. We were expecting a little finger buffet, weren't we? No. 5-course meal, wine.
I know, it was amazing. Gosh.
Yeah, that was great.
It was delicious.
So, that was a lovely afternoon.
And you can hear about that in one of our previous podcasts or read about it on the Gerry Anderson website. Just search for Parker plaque.
Yeah. There's a video that Charlotte knocked up as well, which
there
is
is,
very proud
yes.
has garnered 6,000 views.
Has it?
Yeah, he's very happy with
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
And now, Richard, you have been very busy all year.
Yeah, all year, and the year before that.
And the year before that. And what's this year been all about for you? Awful Auntie?
Well, it's been Awful Auntie. I've been living in the wonderful world of David Walliams for the last 3.5 years, but it's very shortly to come to an end. Next weekend,
in fact, by the time you'll listen to this, it'll all be over.
I'll be done and dusted.
And Richard will be out of work.
I will. I'll be sitting watching Doctor Who in my pants.
Yeah, so if you've got any little odd jobs around the house that need doing, then do drop us a line, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk.
Yeah, absolutely. Now's the time.
Yeah, Richard's going to be, twiddling his thumbs otherwise.
I have to say thank you very much to everyone who's been to see the show. A few Gerry Anderson fans have popped along to see me. Duncan Wilson came this week and tweeted a lovely picture, actually. You can find him, I did write it down. Yes, Duncan, DM Wilson73. Have a look. He tweeted a picture of a lovely sketch he did of me with Orin. Also did a sketch of you, Jamie, as well, that he's given me in hard copy to pass over to you next time I see you.
Fantastic.
So he came to see the show at the Bloomsbury Theatre. Over the years, AC put me up in Belfast. Kevin Goodman has put me up in Birmingham. I met Chris Dale a couple of times in Canterbury, and lots of wonderful meetings with lots of Gerry Anderson
David,
fans.
the Space Precinct fan, outside one of your shows.
Sunderland, absolutely, yes. Signed various annuals and DVD covers.
Scott and Ross in Norfolk.
Scott and Ross in Norwich, absolutely. It was a joy to meet
We've had
them all.
endless interactions with Gerry Anderson fans.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
So, well done, Richard. You deserve a rest after working so hard for all that time.
Thank you.
So
Well, it does mean that doing these little podcasts and Fab Live will be a little bit easier on my front over the next few weeks. I'm assuming nothing's going to come along. I'm just assuming I'm going to be unemployed now for forever. But so that'll be a bit easier.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. There's that for Richard. Lots of you enjoyed Thunderbirds on Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Although they had all those technical issues.
They
which is a real disappointment. But that was so nice to see people of all ages all over the world coming together to watch and enjoy hours and hours and hours of Thunderbirds.
Is that likely to happen again, do you think? I know you don't know for sure, but...
I literally have no idea. No clue.
Yeah.
But it went down very well. And then, of course, Richard, we do have to reflect on the slightly sadder bit of the year. So losses from the Anderson world this year, including Jeremy Wilkin of Thunderbirds and UFO fame, and of course Doctor Who and beyond. Des Saunders, director, who was responsible for giving the puppets little willies, which is
that's right. That's right.
A really funny, lovely chap, Des. Ken Holt, production manager across the end of the Thunderbirds and Superman Nation era and into UFO. John Bluthal, who voiced Commander Zero in Fireball XL5. Xenia Merton of Space 1999, and of course Mike Noble, who we already mentioned. So many losses this year, and others I've probably missed. So apologies if I've missed any there. And unfortunately, that's gonna keep happening. So we'll just have to brace ourselves for what 2019 may bring. Hopefully, not too many, but well,
it's such a big and aging family, isn't it? The Gerry Anderson family.
It is. But thankfully, ever expanding. But I will say, if you do get to see your heroes, your character heroes or your production heroes at conventions and stuff, tell them what the show's meant to you. I know lots of you do, but often I know it's a bit, you don't know quite what to say. They really do appreciate hearing what the impact it had, and it sounds terribly morbid, but it may be the last opportunity to say these things. There you go. Make 2019 positive by sharing the impact these shows had on you.
Exactly right. That would be lovely.
And there's lots of positivity to come in 2019, which is, and we've already discovered and discussed. There's more HD releases coming. There's new stuff that we can't yet talk about, which you know about and I know about, and stuff we're working on
there's
right now.
There's probably stuff I don't know about.
There's also stuff you don't know about. Obviously, we're working towards getting Firestorm into production this year. Which is terrifying and brilliant. Huge amounts of stuff to come, so make sure you stay tuned across all Gerry Anderson online activity. The website, gerryanderson.co.uk, Gerry Anderson TV on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Twitch.
Wow.
Gerry Anderson Official on Facebook. And of course the podcast and Fab Live, which will be moving, as we've discussed, to YouTube and Twitch on the 4th of February.
That's it. That's right. And I've just realised, Jamie. Well, January the 28th edition of the podcast, Monday. It'll be my birthday.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the only time that'll happen for the next 11 years, apparently.
Is that definitely the case? It probably is.
Well, that's what you said last time.
Yeah, I suppose.
So it must be the same.
Yeah, I guess it is. Gosh, amazing. Well, shall we encourage people on January the 28th to do hashtag Happy Birthday Dickhead? I mean, Richard.
No, don't encourage them to do anything of the sort.
Hashtag Happy Birthday Richard on the...
Happy Birthday Dick.
Well, Charlotte starts to... Anyway, amazing. Shall we move on
I think we ought
to a bit without us, because we've been talking for ages now.
Haven't we? Yeah, great.
For how long
Well, I think
have
it's
we
probably
been
time we handed over to Chris Dale.
Yeah.
Everyone's favourite part of the podcast, really, which is, of course, the glorious randomizer.
Good luck, Chris.
We're rich, Wilson. The richest men alive.
Yeah. Say, we've forgotten something. We're trapped in here. We couldn't open that entrance door. This guy tried to get the door open, too. He never made it.
Oh, hello, chaps. Yes, the Lost Pyramid of Commodities is a bit of a nuisance to get out of once you're trapped inside, but I've been okay. I've got the old randomizer here to keep me from getting lonely. Wish I could turn it on, though, but... Oh, Wilson, I wouldn't let Lindsay drink from the eternal fountain, by the way. Marina had a sip, and now she's off somewhere thinking she's the reincarnation of Cleopatra. That girl needs help.
You're the one who needs help. You're gonna die.
Ah, too late. All right, yes, Lindsay, whatever, but first, how about you press the button on the randomizer for me?
Then you'll be able to get my treasure, won't you?
Okay, Wilson?
No, he only wants the treasure.
You're crazy.
Okay, fine, don't worry. Wilson, could you give me covering fire for a sec while I make the selection? Honestly, if you want a job done properly, do it yourself.
You'll have to kill me before I let you have my treasure.
Yes, whatever, Lindsay. Right, let's see what we have today. Oh, well, it's,
Ha ha! Now I have you, Mr. Clever. Now you will die.
Oh, well, this is hardly the way I expected to go out, but still, it's been a good run. Not who am I kidding? No, it hasn't. Oh, well done, Marina. I mean, Your Majesty. Wilson, you okay?
Ah, don't worry. I was only stunned when I fell.
Good. Anyway, back to more important matters. The title of today's episode promises high tension. Literally. Here's Supercar. Supercar! So, once again, a Supercar episode has come up on the randomizer, and I'm looking at the title and thinking, I know I've seen this probably multiple times, even though not for a long time, but I'm struggling to remember what it... I think it's the one where Beaker goes to the shops and gets kidnapped by Master Spy and Zarin. Yeah, high tension, visit to the shops. It was a different time, you know. Supercar's idea of drama is much more small scale than it would later become in Thunderbirds and Scarlet, but let's see how much epic drama we can get out of high tension.
All we have to do now is to take the out-of-town coach and...
Excuse me.
So here we have poor old Beaker being picked up on the street by...
My friend and I wish to reach Bonneville Flat.
Yeah, once again, a very
Would you perhaps...
inconvincing disguise from Master Spy, and a not at all convincing, as in not even bothering at all, disguise from Zarin. Beaker is not standing on a set as such. He's standing in front of a back projection screen, which is showing some place probably in Slough. It's a jeweler's he's standing in front
As a matter of fact, if you would be kind enough to give me a lift, I could show you part of the way.
Poor old Beaker.
To be too easy, friend Zarin.
Master Spy. Well, now who's a fool?
The fact that you wore such a terrible disguise, and the fact that your friend isn't disguised at all, and it was such a terrible plan that it really fooled me. It's well done, chaps.
When the doc gets his hands on anything, it's better to leave it alone.
Hey, Professor.
I found that out the hard way.
What's Switch doing here?
Oh, yeah, this is again, the early days of Supercar, where we're still tinkering and fiddling with this machine, adding bits and...
By the way, isn't he a bit overdue?
And trying to update the technology.
Not it, friend Zarin. Them. A group of creators...
I'm just looking at Master Spy's disguise, and close up it's even more terrible and unconvincing than it was when he pulled up to pick up Beaker. I don't understand actually why, having revealed himself to Beaker, he's now keeping the phony moustache and the silly cap on. Well, other than the fact that he's driving, but...
Safe and sound.
Yeah, why isn't he getting Zarin to do the driving? And he can... Oh, he's got these dark sunglasses on as well. That's quite funny.
I'll take the Jeep down to the highway and see if I can pick Beaker up.
We have a Jeep? When did we get a Jeep? I know Bill Gibson had a Jeep, but I thought that was his.
I'll go and see. Well, I hope he's here soon. I'd like to know what all this new wiring in the cockpit is for.
Yeah, and that switch on the wall over there.
Yeah, and there's a piece of dust on the floor. And a weird stain on the ceiling. It's kind of odd that the Supercar team can create such interest and curiosity out of a very small thing like a switch.
Spy.
What? What's that you're saying?
It is very simple, Professor.
Master Spy's got a ring on.
Have Dr. Beaker.
Is that part of his disguise, or is he married?
We will have a fair exchange.
To someone other than Zarin?
Not want something.
Yeah, there's a ring on his middle finger, on his left hand.
Dear Doctor.
I don't remember seeing that in other episodes. That must be part of the disguise.
Hello, Beaker. Beaker, is that you? Yes. I'm afraid to say it's quite true. We are going for a small journey to, now let me see. Oh, yes, Green Ghost Wells.
That will be enough, Dr. Beaker. I wish only to establish...
This is a good indication of how terrible a villain Master Spy is. He can kidnap someone and then not just do the say a few words into the phone to let them know that I've got you thing. He actually just lets them say his entire plan. And it's only once it's out of their mouth that he's actually, oh wait, maybe this was a bad move.
Green Ghost Wells.
Maybe I'm a terrible villain.
And Professor, get the police on the phone. If they've got Beaker, it's no joke.
The police? But Mike, you can't do that.
No, it's just kidnapping, you know. You can't call the police when there's been a kidnapping. You have to solve it yourself. Oh, right now, Master Spy and Zarin have switched seats in their little van. So Zarin is now driving, but Master Spy's still got this terrible disguise on.
Imbecile friend.
He's got this beautiful close-up. It's, if it wasn't a disguise, this would probably be quite a fun caricature character. As it is, I'm just wondering why he's keeping all this rubbish on.
Well, do you suppose that I am as thick-headed as Zarin here?
Yes, I do. I do, Master Spy.
I do not think he will be visible from the ground, and it would take several hours to search for the right pit.
And we only
And
have
remember, the police don't have helicopters, Mike. It's just not a thing that they do. They don't search from the air, Mike. Was that a thing in the 60s that police searches were confined to the ground? I would have thought that for such a forward-thinking show as this, the police would have helicopters, but I suppose if you have to keep our characters involved, then probably best to pretend that they don't.
We could always fly her out on...
Hey, yes.
On remote, yeah. Maybe you got something there, Professor.
Why have we only just now thought of that, considering we've used the remote multiple times in the course of even just the last 8 episodes?
Hold on a minute, Professor. I'm cooking up something.
It's another one of those idea things. They come quite slowly and only usually one at a time, but let's see what we can come up with here.
That's a good idea, Professor. Master Spy's sure to be watching Supercar coming into land.
Oh, well, if it's got Jimmy's idea, then Jimmy's endorsement, then obviously it's a good idea. Why do we have you here? You're not contributing anything, you annoying small boy.
Let's see when we get there, huh?
And where's Mitch? I haven't seen Mitch this week. Mitch is usually the saving grace of the existence of Jimmy, but I guess he's up to something more interesting than this.
If you mean to,
Oh, this is quite an impressive set for the Green Ghost Wells pits. It's a sort of a split-level thing. We've just panned down from, like, the road down into the pit where Beaker and Master Spy and Zarin are. And the bottom of the set looks like... It gives the impression that this is just a ledge that they're sat on, that there is more space beneath them. For a very early episode, that's quite impressive.
5, 7.
Here we go, charging Supercar's engines. This always takes up a good 2 minutes of an episode. But again, they've reshot this standard material in a new way. Aside from, again, that shot of Supercar's engines, all the shots of the characters saying things is, I'm guessing, exclusive to this episode. Oh, speaking of old shots, I love this. This must go back to the first episode of a shot of Supercar rising up out of the laboratory. It's a shot of Mike in the cockpit, and he just lolls his head back. You can see his lip is slightly open. It gives him a kind of a sort of derpy expression as he's just sort of looking skywards in almost sort of rapt admiration of something.
I'll maintain as much altitude as I can while I pinpoint him, and then glide right down to a landing.
Again, I'm still surprised how technical all of this is. I know I've said before that a lot of it is fretting, essentially. Oh, must do this thing before the other thing and worry about the third thing. But for a children's show,
You think you can control her in a glide?
Sure.
all this science and technical talk is far beyond what you'd expect even from a series then that almost had kind of an educational element to it as well.
So, because it is called Green Ghost Wells, you expect a green ghost to appear.
Not exactly, Master Spy,
But nothing.
I have a feeling too that if this story had been made in the second season, if there was a place called Green Ghost Wells in the second season, when Hugh and Martin Woodhouse had left and the show became much more kid-friendly, there probably would be a green ghost lurking around here somewhere. As it is, we're going to keep this absolutely real as much as possible. Very, very underrated pair of writers, I think, in the Gerry Anderson canon. We have people like, the Tony Barwicks. I think Tony Barwick is going to always be my favourite Anderson writer. But the level of sophistication and dedication that the Woodhouse brothers brought to Supercar is still very impressive even to this day, and it's such a shame that they never came back after this first season. There's a definite drop in quality between the two, and I think a lot of it is down to the fact that they're not there anymore.
I saw something flash.
Ooh, well, keep that to yourself. There's not Master Spy up to some more dastardly naughtiness.
Taking her down.
Oh, it is Master Spy. He's got a little mirror that he's reflecting the sun with. Oh, I'm sorry, Master Spy. And he has stripped off a bit. He's dropped his disguise now. We're back to his normal white jacket and white spotted bow tie.
Let me see. Allowing for a 3-degree change in the sun's azimuth over the next quarter of an hour or so.
You are so clever, Doc.
This is great that Beaker is essentially just helping his kidnapper by being cleverer than them, but also not having enough common sense to realise that his knowledge and his expertise can just be so easily manipulated by his captor to the extent where he can actually help them signal to the person who's coming out to meet them.
Right one. Can't see a sign of them from ground level. Master Spy was being real clever when he thought this one up, but he's been a bit too...
Was he really? I think a lot of it does depend on the fact that Beaker is too silly to recognise that the guy who looks exactly like Master Spy is Master Spy. I was just distracted for a second there by Popkiss is talking into the radio. His hand is going up, and the wire on his hand is catching the microphone on the desk. Almost to the point where it looked like the mic was going to come off, but it didn't. So Mike has landed Supercar nearby the spot where Master Spy is holding Beaker. He's got out, and he's now going to go in on foot while Professor Popkiss remotely flies Supercar in from the console.
Dr. Beaker, do you see it? Supercar?
You would think that by now, having been tricked like 3 or 4 times by the Supercar team, that Master Spy and Zarin would at least be slightly wary when it looks like that they're about to finally get their hands on Supercar. I mean, they haven't even got a gun just in case things go wrong, which I suppose is admirable that a kid's show doesn't feel that it has to include that level of, well, not violence as such, but sort of potential violence. You would just think that they would be slightly more... It's a gorgeous shot of them just peering up from behind a rock. which coincidentally is the same rock that I believe... Oh, it's a long pan across these rocks. Yeah, there's Mike hiding at the other end of the rocks with a massive walkie-talkie.
If you come in...
Master Spy, there is no pilot.
No pilot? What do you mean, fool?
See for yourself.
What? Why? How does Master Spy not see what Zarin sees when they're both standing right next to each other and Master Spy was looking at Supercar?
This means that the cowardly Mr. Mercury dare not meet us face to face. Because
Yeah, but
he knows
you should
that this
you should get to an optician's, mate. I mean, that's a should have gone to Specsavers moment when you can't see the thing that's right in front of you and you have to be told what it is before you even react to it.
It is unnatural.
Fool! You suppose perhaps your green ghost is responsible?
Or do you suppose that they are flying it by remote control as we have been tricked previously and before? You are a fool, friend Zarin.
Most curious.
Professor?
What's odd, though, is that Beaker doesn't twig that it's on remote control either, which, again, considering they've done this before, and considering that he presumably helped build that remote control system, is quite baffling. But again, Beaker, as much as I love him, has not really been much of anything other than a hindrance this week.
Don't ask me why, but Doc says to throw that taped-up wall switch.
Oh, but he's got this magic switch that we don't know what it is or why it exists.
Master Spy is about to fall into the inquisitive category. So
Just noticing that Mike's radio has got this huge antenna on the top, and he's waving it quite close to Beaker's eyes, and Beaker's got very big eyes. It really wouldn't take much for him to gouge one of them out. Oh, Mitch has thrown the switch. No, not Mitch, Jimmy. Mitch is the one I wish were here. Jimmy is the one we've unfortunately got. And what does this switch do?
How can you possibly...
It electrocutes anybody who touches Supercar.
well, I never. Instant dancing.
They make a pretty good team, huh? They should be on Broadway.
And this is yet another thing that we'll include with Supercar for this one episode and then never use again. Well, I don't think. I mean, this is the kind of show where they would bring something like that back, but I don't remember ever seeing it again.
It says here that the charge of less than 150 volts, with minimum current, of course, is a positive tonic to the system.
It is, huh? Well, have this one on me. Me, I'd rather stay home and watch television. The programs aren't so shocking.
That is a very odd thing to include in a children's show, just like, hey, let's casually mess around with electricity. Yeah, I never realised that before, but actually, yeah, looking back at it now, it's, that is very questionable. I suppose back in the 60s, when we were still building things out of asbestos for people to live in and such, it wasn't maybe as looked down on as it would be now. I don't know. Anyway, that was high tension. I can't honestly say that I was feeling particularly tense throughout much of that. Again, with Supercar, you know, it's very well made, it's very intelligently written and plotted. This is just kind of more of the same, not one of the greats. And, where was Mitch?
I loved that era, Richard, sorry, of Barry Gray themes where it's got lyrics.
Yes.
And they're so retro. Supercar.
Yes. Now, when did that stop? When was the first theme?
Well, I mean...
without lyrics.
The opening theme of Fireball didn't have one, but the closing theme did.
Yeah.
The closing theme of Stingray did. It was Aquamarina, obviously. And then Thunderbirds, I think, was the first to drop its lyrics, but then that was quickly brought back
Captain
for Scarlet.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, even for Joe 90, obviously, melodically, it still
Right.
says Joe 90, which Barry and also a lot of composers at that time wrote into their music.
Right.
Even Derek Wadsworth, who did The Day After Tomorrow, the pilot,
Yeah.
the melody for that is The Day After Tomorrow.
Nice. Great.
It's weird, isn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
but I do miss those kind of old 60s, slightly camp sung themes. So
Well, maybe we could do a Firestorm special. A 60s version with lyrics. Let's get Benji onto that.
yeah, I'll ask him kindly to do what he can do. But anyway, yes, a bit bizarre that Supercar episode.
Yeah, it's not a series I'm familiar with again, I'm afraid.
No, and also
But,
it's interesting how times have changed. So in Space Precinct, that scene with the electrocution bit, or the
had to be
potential electrocution
reshot.
had to be reshot, and yet something from the 1960s has Mike electrocuting Beaker for fun. And Beaker sort of going, ooh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Right. That's right.
And an absent Mitch the Monkey.
Yeah, a bit of a plot hole there.
Many would say, was one of the most vital characters I was going to say. But yeah, good, annoying. That's what Mitch was. So yes, Chris, thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to many more throughout 2019. I know he's got them all stacked up now, hasn't he, for a good few weeks ahead.
For years.
For years
ahead,
right.
Richard. And in fact, Richard, if we manage to have a weekly podcast for the rest of this year,
God. Oh right, yes, that
then
happen, yes.
for the New Year's podcast, not New Year's Eve because it'll be the day before this year, will be Pod 81.
Will it?
Can you imagine?
It won't.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Well,
isn't it?
I mean, I suppose it's going to happen, isn't it?
Well, unless we mess it up or have a big falling out, as happens in entertainment circles.
In the world of showbiz, absolutely. Yeah.
We'll try not to.
Wow.
There you go. Anyway, so all these exciting things to come. This is the first of 51 more episodes this year. So
I can barely wait.
the canal listeners. Right, so that's it, Richard. We're done for Pod 30.
That's it. I think that'll do.
Probably won't it?
And we're off on a new year. We're off in 2019 and the joys that it will bring.
Absolutely. Lots of exciting stuff to come. So we look forward to sharing more Gerry Anderson news over the coming months.
Yes, indeed.
Drop us a line, podcast at gerryanderson.co.uk. Subscribe, rate, review, screenshot,
all that.
podcast selfie.
There's new Gerry Anderson stuff happening every day.
All that.
News, merch. Let's get them all in.
And we'll look forward to being in your ears next week in Pod 31.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
But no Christmas.
No.
We reverted to the non-Christmas version.
Yes, but you have saved it for future use.
Of course. We'll bring it out next Christmas.
Will we have an Easter special?
I don't know on the dates. Let me have a look. When is Easter this year? Is it the
I don't know. It moves every year, doesn't it? No, I'm thinking specifically about the theme tune. We can have lots of little bunnies hopping about and things.
What's the bunny sound?
Boing. No? It's not going to work, is it?
The After Dark edition. Yeah, well, I mean, we've got five pods in April, so...
yeah, well, one of them's bound to be Easter.
Yeah. No, it's all very exciting.
Is it?